Is it possible to make a short film with no budget, no cast, no crew, and no time? Well, I'm gonna find out. So I'm making a short film and I'm gonna try and do it with no budget, no cast, no crew, and very little amount of time that I do have. I am in the process of putting together pitch material and filming for a documentary called Summer of Cell, and that is keeping me extremely busy, not to mention all the editing jobs and client work that I do. I'm piecing together this. Hey, this is future Jared. That one's future Jared, and I'm future Jared. I'm gonna drop in every once in a while and, you know, give some little nuggets, mostly where I forgot to add something. So here's a little something. It's a tease for what is to come later on. Check it out. Artlist has some cool stuff. I'll tell you more about it in a moment. All right, back to this. And I figured, hey, I need an intro for this whole series. Artlist also has a bunch of these templates. I'm gonna go through and see if I can find a little intro to speed things up. Recently a post from a very well-respected film distributor for indie films that, strangely enough, YouTube is one of the top indie film distributors where the filmmakers actually are making money. And in my case, I've seen that to be somewhat true. Might as well make a short film right here. I'm going to be utilizing, first off, the resources that I do have available right now. I'm also banking off of some of the suggestions that I've received from the community tab. If you haven't, go hang out on the community tab. I post things here and there, and I'm trying to get more frequent with that. We are going to make this short film, and the resources that I have available is a house, my office, living room, backyard, garage, all those things. I know I have access to those. I don't have to ask permission. I can just shoot it. So there's that. The other thing that I have is cinema camera, lights, audio gear, and post-production abilities. I edit for a jobby job. I'm also doing visual effects here and there and motion graphics. So that's not the biggest hurdle to jump over. The biggest one I would have to say is time. As I'm putting this together, I'm realizing I'm carving out time in my day when I'm actually doing work, piecing things together in the middle of all of that. The short film that we're gonna make is gonna be a sci-fi short. I'm leaning into sci-fi because, you know, I can do passable visual effects and we'll just keep them to a minimum so it's not anything crazy, and we'll incorporate that into the story. One thing that I don't want to just gloss over, and it's a thing that I'm doing some other stuff, and in fact, it's all distractions. I was just distracted right there, thinking about something else. This is a big distraction. My car here had some leaks, and I've been trying to do stuff as I go. I can't find the keys because it's been sitting so long, and I don't have all the parts. I've got all of this stuff that was replaced, and now I have to get that wheel back on here. That is distractions for you. Here's my camera that I'm using. I can't shoot real fast, just like grabbing it and going, oh cool, I'm gonna shoot on this camera, which is why I've got my phone. I got this new battery. I was shooting for the documentary, Summer of Cell documentary. We were on location for maybe 5 hours, non-stop recording. 5 hours of almost continuous use. That was in the field. I did a test with this camera and this battery, and I ran it 3 hours on standby and 8 hours of recording before the battery ran out. But that's my camera rig. I hope to get something smaller and more compact. It's a toss-up between Sony FX3 and the Canon R5C. Not getting distracted by all the shiny objects, the lights, the fancy cameras, the gear, the magic of making a movie. You have to push all that aside and focus on the main thing of a production. And the most important thing of that production is story. Recently in theaters over the past few months or so, you got Oppenheimer, Godzilla Minus One, Dune. All of them are big spectacle movies, but there's a lot of talking. Talking heads, talking at each other, people talking. And guess what? As an indie filmmaker, you don't have to break the bank if your characters are just talking. Now, maybe if they're like in a big explosion or like massive set and like cathedral and huge amounts of crowds, yeah, that can get expensive. But you know, you don't have to have a movie with aliens coming from outer space and everybody having to assemble and fight it off and having to figure out which one of the 30 characters that are fighting these people that are coming from space and blowing things up and swinging swords and shields and... Yeah, not necessary if you want to tell a good story. It might be a cool asset, but as indie filmmakers, we don't have the money for the spectacle. We do have the ability to slow things down and focus on character. As we've seen in the box office, that is possible, and hey, that's what we're gonna try doing. Before any of that gets started, before we're shooting or doing any sort of filming production, you've got to start with the story. And one thing that happens further on down the road that I like to bring into the beginning of the phase is choosing music, or at least inspiration music. I create a list of my movie scores that help inspire the theme or the mood or feel of the story. And typically that's great if I'm gonna be hiring a composer to compose music that's original. That's not gonna be the case this time because everyone's busy, budget's low, and time is money. I use a platform called Artlist. It's one of my favorite, or if not my favorite, music licensing platform. And I've been using them for years. I'm gonna create my playlist in Artlist that's going to inspire the mood and feel of this story. As I'm listening to this stuff, if something is really cool that I'm like, that would be perfect if only I had the ability or permission to use this track. Well, guess what? I would have the permission to use the track because it's on Artlist. You can choose genre, mood, theme, instrumentation, vocals, no vocals, pull cue sheet information. The artists are compensated accordingly in favor of the artist. Great on you, Artlist. I love this platform. I've been using them for years. With the link in the description below, you get an additional 2 months free on your year license. You can use this music for commercial use, for YouTube use. You can even go in and clear videos. I was on there today and saw that you can invite clients. If you're a production company, you can invite people to clear their own videos. So if you're working on a client project, bam, send them a link and there it is. And bonus, I'm also going to include the playlist I'm creating for this short film down there. It's going to not only include music, but it's going to include graphic assets. Hey, they've got graphics as well, templates, sound effects. I'm going to start building that playlist or that collection library and share it with you down below. The first thing that I do is I'm going to start on the story. I have to create my character, create my opposition, choose the goals, making sure my characters have opposing goals so that it creates conflict, because without conflict, the story is just moments and moments are just kind of boring. So my goal really is to see how I can make this short film without losing too much quality because there's no money put into it. I'm gonna push myself to really elevate the cinematography, the storytelling, the editing without a crew, So this is a big experiment. We'll see where it goes, but you can also check out some of my other films that I've done that are released right here on YouTube. Documentary, a Western, my first movie I ever made. Check those out, have some fun enjoying that. And if you want to know anything about this documentary I'm currently working on, here's a little snippet that went out to Major League Baseball owners.
I had never seen anything like what happened at the reverse boycott.
It was silent and eerie. And then it was ear-splitting.
I could literally feel the place shaking. We don't know what this looks like with them gone.
And it kind of sums up what the story's about in a version or so. It's a much bigger story than just that. That was just a small little preview segment of something or other. Enjoy, keep making movies, and I'll catch you in the next one.